nearly 14 million Americans are living with some form of cancer. By the end of the year, that number is expected to grow by about 1.7 million. The American Cancer Society is now launching a massive study in hopes of reducing those figures, and they're asking for your help. Chances are you or someone you know has been affected by cancer.
Within a 2-year period, my dad got diagnosed with 2 forms of cancer, and so did my aunt. Both have since passed.
I have a very good friend. I just found out 2 days ago that he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he's in his early 40s, and it came as a complete shock.
Lynn Basilio works for the American Cancer Society, where she's enrolling Amanda Reeves in a new study to track and determine cancer risk.
Tear off the perforated card and then mail it back to us.
The Cancer Prevention Study, known as CPS-3, is the third of its kind.
CPS 1 and 2 were done with generations from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And they have led to much of the major facts that we already know about cancer. For example, that smoking is a risk factor for developing cancer. Obesity and overweight put you at risk for cancer.
Volunteers fill out a lengthy questionnaire about their habits and health history. Then they're measured around the waist and give a blood sample. Simple enough, but here's the catch. Volunteers commit to participate in the study for the next 20 years. Once every 2 years, they have to fill out a questionnaire.
We ask them a series of questions, again, about their lifestyle, their nutrition, physical activity, their health status, their medications, exposure to the sun, all of the things that could impact their risk of developing cancer.
The American Cancer Society hopes to enroll up to 300,000 healthy adults between the ages of 30 and 65. The goal is to include people of different ages and ethnicities to determine how risk factors differ. That's especially important to Amanda Reeves.
If I can contribute to a study as a black woman that will help get information about black people and the study, I think that's important.
Reeves says completing a survey every couple of years is a small price to pay for the chance to find a cure or prevent cancer. All right, and with me now are Dr. David Rosenthal of Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and the past president of the American Cancer Society, and Janet McGrail, also of the American Cancer Society, which is helping recruit study participants. Welcome. That's where I want to start. How do you go about getting 300,000 people? I know it's nationwide, but it's 45,000 in New England, because really there's nothing in it for them, is there?
No, there isn't, but it's also, the American Cancer Society is very anxious to finish the fight on cancer. We're celebrating our 100th birthday of the American Cancer Society. It wasn't hard, or was hard. 88,000 volunteers back in 1959
wow.
got 1 million volunteers to participate in the surveys in CPS-1, which led, as you heard, to the fact that cigarette smoking did
How many of those
cancer.
people actually got cancer, do you know?
I don't have they're published, there are numerous
All right, I thought you'd have that off the top of your head. How do you go about this, though, Jenna? How do you get people interested in doing it, especially a wide range? And they can't have had any cancer. They have to be
What we do
cancer-free.
is we reach out to some of our partners and our collaborators over the years. The American Cancer Society works with many hospitals. We work with community groups. We work with many different organizations across the state. What we did was we kind of cast the net out and identify partners that are willing to either be a host site or help us identify host sites to have this enrollment.
I mean, you also got to count on people being honest with this questionnaire, because, I mean, like, a lot of people may drink more than they say, or eat some stuff, or, you know, smoke, you know.
That's the important part about getting 300,000 volunteers. Yeah. The statistics show us that we need that number of people to really make a valid study.
Yeah. And, I mean, so many cancers, it seems, are serendipity. I mean, can you really, I mean, some of these external things like smoking and maybe excessive drinking, those, you can understand those, but so many of them, even breast cancers, are just, you know, doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason.
That's why this study is going to be looking at not just lifestyles, not just environmental factors, but also genetics. Mm-hmm. And genomics are now becoming routine in medical practice, trying to look at the genetics of each individual person to see whether or not, as some of them population develop cancer, is there something that they can pick up on a serial basis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, talk about like food. I mean, when people come into the group, do you say just go ahead and live your normal life, or do you ask them to do things that might
No, we don't. We actually ask them to live their normal life, and every 2 years they have to send back to us a completed survey to upgrade us any changes in their lifestyle behavior or any diagnosis they may get. Some folks end up getting diagnosed with diabetes or other conditions, and we just want to make sure we measure that and we watch them over the course of 20 years.
Are these people who are concerned for one reason or another that they may be vulnerable?
Well, some are. Some may be relatives or offspring of people with cancer. So they understand, as you heard, that there is this risk of cancer, and they want to know what the risks are and how we can prove those risks, and whether we can see if there's any genetic background to the risks.
And the mix of ethnicities, have you found, I mean, does it matter? I mean, are there differences in the types of cancers? Do you know? I guess I have to ask you that.
Well, right now we know that the economically disadvantaged population always presents late with their cancer. So is there something that we can do in this economically disadvantaged population that can show us some risks that will alert this population to getting care sooner with screening or changing in their life behavior or their lifestyle?
What happened as a result of some of the studies that came out? Are you still following the people, do you know, Janet?
We're just closing out CPS 2.
How many years did that go?
About 25.
It started in 1983.
Yeah, wow.
And 300 papers have since been written on the basis of the information that was collected over that time frame. So it's been a wonderful piece of work that other studies have taken on as their basis and continued.
I mean, how do you keep track of these people? I mean, obviously they're in a database, but I mean, 300,000 people are going to move. They're going to go all over the country. I mean,
well, that's the importance of the survey and keeping track. And obviously, we protect the privacy. This is an institutional review board approved study by Emory University, but sponsored by the American Cancer Society. And there are indicators of the number, the name of the people protected, but they all get a serial number that we can follow them and trace them. And we ask them to tell us if they're moving, tell us if they're changing locations, jobs, whatever.
How come no children in the study?
Well, younger people tend to move around a lot. So, and they're not, they might sign up in college, say, yeah, I'll continue with that, and then they forget about it and go on with their life.
Yeah, I know, but it seems like there are more and more childhood cancers, leukemias, and all of that.
But the incidence of cancers increase with age.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we had to choose one level, and that's why 35 up to 65 was chosen.
So, yeah, what does it cost to maintain this study for 20 years?
Quite a bit. It is an expense, but obviously I think the American Cancer Society feels that this is very important in finishing the fight.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it feels hopeless.
Well, I hope not. I think if you look, though, if you look at the progress that's been made since I started in hematology oncology back in the 60s when there was no cure for leukemia, and now you've got 70 to 80% of people, children, 95% are being cured of their leukemia. But
there's so many others, it seems. I mean, pancreatic, some others who just...
There are some difficulty ones, but what we're finding with genetics and genomics is we're finding abnormalities so we can now target the cancer cell without affecting the rest of the cells in the body. So amazing work.
All right, good luck with your study.
Thank you very much.
Dr. David Rosenthal, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that is it for Greater Boston. On tomorrow's show, Jared Bowen takes us to the ICA's Barry McGee exhibit, and later this week, Damien Eccles spent 18 years on death row in Arkansas for the murder of 3 young boys. Today, he's free. He tells me his story of injustice and the death penalty. That's all this week on Greater Boston. I'm Emily Rooney. Thanks for watching.